right, are we really back? Has it been 30,000 miles? Has it been that long? Like, I know I've done this video, honestly, I'm gonna be perfectly frank. I've done this video 2 times already because the last time I shot it, I didn't like how it looked. And then it wasn't CarQuicks quality. Not that I'm some master at this, but I got certain standards, okay? Got certain standards. So we're here now, 30,000 miles. I've been in this car for over a year now. February of 2023, I got it. And since then, it has been wonderful. And I know that sounds crazy because most of the time when owners talk about cars, most people feel like there's a bias because they bought the car, they paid for it. Of course, he's gonna say it's great. What's the bad? Well, on the 15,000 mile one, I kind of leaned more into what was bad. And since then, I've kind of all expound upon that. But this video isn't really gonna be me giving you the minute details because I did that at 2,000, I did that at 9,000, I did that at 15,000. So please go watch those videos if you want to see the minute details on everything about the car. Because people have owned this car for a year now, you've got plenty of reviews about the GR Corolla. I'm here to tell you what it's like as an owner 30,000 miles later. Let's get to it. This has been 30,000 miles of me driving this car. So before last video, I said the paint is one ply, okay? And what I meant by that is basically saying, like, don't get this car thinking that you're gonna get paint to sample levels of Porsche paint, because that's not what Toyota's doing, okay? They put their money where it mattered, okay? So the paint, however thin it can be, especially when it comes to this Toyota white paint, it has actually held up. So I gotta take back some of what I said before, because 30,000 miles in of me daily driving this car, and this is what the paint looks like. So I don't have, remember, only PPF the front, like I talked about. No, I didn't take it off. I know I talked about a few things at 15,000 miles that haven't happened, okay? Life. But PPF is still on here, even though I do need to get it replaced or changed up. And I'm sure somebody's gonna say 30,000 miles is fairly low to be changing PPF. I thought it has like some long warranty range. True. Though I drive on I-10 in Texas, so I'm constantly dipping and dodging in the heat and the sun. And, you know, we live in an extreme climate for heat, not for winter. So I don't got to deal with salt, pebbles, gravel, things like that. So the hood, the windshield, fenders, side skirts down here, all of those are still in the same condition they were when I first got, not when I first got the car, but since 15,000 miles, they haven't gotten any worse. Maybe. Just maybe on the side skirt here, you might see a little bit of extra small little dots. Let me try to give you a little close up. That's what I'm saying. When I had this car, right? So if I jump back and you can see the car behind me, right? The paint has held up since that time I did this video in the same condition. I'm talking about driving, daily driving on I-10, 60 miles an hour, in front of people, in front of cars. I haven't had big issues. Now, let me just show you what I'm talking about. So if you look down here, this side skirt there, that piece right there hasn't added any further issues to the car. Meaning, I don't have further paint chips. I haven't had gashes or scratches on it. And like I said, I've been in this car for 30,000 miles. So it has held up okay. So when I say I'm taking back a little bit of what I said, what I'm saying is the car hasn't been as I said before when it comes to how the paint is. So it can hold up. You know, I know there's a few more owners out there with 30,000 miles. I got 2 friends that are up to this range, and they can attest to the same thing. One of them doesn't have PPF on the front bumper. You couldn't tell. All he did was ceramic coating. So it can hold up, and it can withstand the daily duties. Now, let's talk about a couple of the things I mentioned. Brake dust. The brake dust is still a thing, okay? I haven't had to change my brake pads yet, and I'm at 30,000 miles. Now, if I see me squinting, it's because the sun is beaming straight on my forehead, so forgive me. Brake dust is still a thing. I haven't had to change the pads. That's a good thing. I've also had to continuously clean the wheels. That is a thing you're gonna have to deal with. I did have to change the tires though. okay? The tires on this car have been changed, right? Now I'm running 245 tires. And the ones that I originally had on their Michelin Pilot Sport 4s, they lasted about 26,000 miles, something like that. That's low. I'm not going to say it's not, especially if you're used to tires lasting 60, 70,000 miles. These are performance tires, so you're going to have to bring your metrics down on what you think it should last. So what did I change it to? I changed those to 245s, the same size that's on the Marizo. Let me zoom in on that for you. So the tires, and let me get myself out the shadow so you can kind of see it more. The tires I switched to are Continental Extreme Contact Sport 02s, 245, a little bit longer for tread wear. The tread wear on this is like 340. I think the Michelins were a little bit less, but the 245, I believe, is the size all GR Corolla owners should change to if they're changing their tires from the stock 235s. This is a 245 40/18. Feels better. Continental ones are quieter to me. That's what I've experienced. The handling has been superb. The grip, the balance, the stability. I love these tires. I think I recommend them to anybody. Wheels. I haven't had any issues with the wheels. Listen, I know how to park, okay? I know how to park a car. I know how to, get into parking spots without tearing up the wheels. So the wheels have been in good condition. They don't have any scrapes, scratches, anything on it. The caliper is in good condition. The paint isn't peeling off. The heat from it didn't cause it to start peeling and baking off, similar to Evo owners know about that. But everything has been good. So exterior wise, I'm happy. I've always been happy. I've said this and I'll say it again. I bought this car because I wanted it, right? I know sometimes when it comes to cars and ownership, a lot of times people have to be told what it is they like, right? There's a bias when it comes to owners like myself that might buy it sight unseen. I did my research. I knew exactly what I wanted it to do, how I wanted it to do it, and I executed on me going to get it. So for me, exterior wise, I still love how it looks. Now here's a couple things that I did not do. I know on 15,000 miles, I said maybe some of the exterior would look different, like wheels, lips. Life happens, okay? So there's no body kits, there's no front lips, there's no wheels, it's not lowered. I have friends that have lowered. If you see my video, my friend Tony put on the HKS ones. Other people I know have other modifications on the outside of the car. I have not done that yet, but it's not to say it won't happen. Just things take time. So another thing is, every time I've seen certain things I've liked on the car on the outside, I haven't really been the greatest fan of how it looked when I saw it in person. So I kind of go back and forth. I'm a little bit interesting like that. There is a company though from Sard, Japan that I'm highly interested in their front lip, their fenders, their side skirts they got going on. And I'm highly interested in going that route. And they have a really dope wing in the back that I like. Now, I'm not gonna dive too far into it because it doesn't make any sense to talk about something you can't visually see. Maybe I'll throw the car up here somewhere in the picture, but I wanna change a couple things, like the tint I wanna change to better ceramic because it's getting hot in here and I might be doing that very shortly. But everything else, also, most importantly, you remember when I was talking about that front grille, when it was cracked when I was talking about it, it's been fixed now. If everybody remembers, 15,000 miles, I was talking about the car and I had a epiphany, not an epiphany, I had a realization that my front grille in this section right here was actually not connected to the car. Well, I went to Toyota, they handled fixing it. No, the car isn't spotlessly clean right now. I didn't feel like doing that, too hot for that. And they replaced the grille. So, grille has been replaced. No need to worry about the grille, it's been replaced. Now, will it last the test of time? That is a question. So far, I had that replaced fairly shortly after that 15,000 mile video. So I would say around 10,000 miles has been put on this car since that grille has been on there. I've been to New Orleans, I've been to Dallas, I've been to Austin and San Antonio. I've been driving all over Texas and out of state, and it's holding up fine. I think they just upgraded what the clips were, but we'll see. I still have a few more thousand miles of bumper to bumper warranty, so trust me, I'm going to be doing a fine-tooth comb on what I think should be under warranty on the car. But let's talk about the interior. Let me squeeze in here real quick. If you hear the air on, it's because I was just way too hot. I had to cool off for a second. So give me a second while I cool off, because I know you're like, yo, it's only in the morning. How hot could it be? Listen, you don't know Texas like that. It don't matter if it's midnight, 3 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m. It can still get blazing hot, okay? And yes, we deal with this every year. No, I'm not leaving. I'm not going back to living in the winter. It is what it is, okay? We got AC for a reason. So I'm cooling off, and then we're gonna talk about this interior, okay? Give me a second. So, interior. All right, so I'm not gonna bring y'all in because, like I said, on the gamut of videos about the GR Corolla, we've talked about the interior a number of times, and I've showed you. So what has been the consensus since 15,000 miles? I'm at 30,000, actually a little bit over, okay? I wasn't right on the dot, forgive me. How has it been? It's been the same, it's been good. Now, I know videos ago I talked about how some people would blast its interior for being cheap. I'll always preface what I'm gonna say by, it really depends on where you came from, right? If you drove a BMW M3, a Lexus ISF, if you had AMGs, if you had even maybe STIs and Subarus, some of those cars had a little bit more special of an interior than the core version of the GR Corolla that I have. Now, if you have a circuit edition, you probably don't feel the same, but some people still feel that way, that there should have been a bigger difference with how the dash looks. I mean, this looks just like the dashes in a regular Corolla hatchback, non-GR one. And the difference is that you know that you have a GR is by the badging, stitching, steering wheel, how it looks now set up, and the controls here in the center when it comes to the drivetrain and how you switch to torque split, drive modes, and the shifter and how it's set up, and the fact that there's no armrest, okay? That's another one you can figure out. So, but it has held up as far as the quality of it goes. When I say cheap, I think of cheap as in it's falling apart. It doesn't necessarily feel good against your hands. Some people may not like the hard plastic. There's soft touch here and there on the car, but it's still held up. And that was my whole thing, saying cheap doesn't mean it can't be, it has to not be plastic, or it has to be something else, or leather wrapped or suede wrapped, because there's cheap leather and there's cheap suede. It depends on how the material holds up over time. And 30,000 miles in, this interior has held its own. It hasn't rattling. There isn't any cracks. The headliner's good. The mirrors are down. The infotainment system works fine. You get a few quirks here and there on wireless CarPlay where it might just turn itself off. And that might be because I have an old phone. Don't know. But there's a quick little caveat or a con you can say. Stereo system is still the same. No, I don't love it. Okay, I said that before. I'm tapping my face because, like I said, it's blazing out here. And listen, that's just what it is. The stereo I want to change, like I said before, I want to change it to something that suits my ears. But that's not something that is a knock against the car. If you're not a person that cares about audio to that degree, you might get in here and hear the JBL system and say it's perfectly fine. So that all is a subjective matter. But as far as the stereo working for all this time, it's been perfectly good. I've had the IMT button on here for well over 10,000 miles. It hasn't given me an issue. I use IMT daily. I haven't had a clutch issue, and we'll talk about that when I get to the motor. I haven't had drivetrain issues, nothing. Works fine, turns on every time. You don't know that video, it's floating up here. Go check it out and put that model on your car if you want the IMT to run. Yes, I can heel and toe. I got big enough feet and shoes to do it. Do I feel like doing it every day? No. Some days do I feel like it? Yeah, if I feel like practicing, I'll turn it off and just do my own heel and toe thing. But listen, work smarter, not harder, okay? But as far as how this goes, it's been great. And I want to point out one thing. So I've had this, I don't know if you can see it, but I've had this 6-element armrest for at least 29,000 miles. I've had this thing since I did braking miles. This armrest, however much some people want to knock that it's not as stiff, it's somewhat wobbly at times, it's not as secure as the center console piece from the Corolla hatchback, This has held me down all this time. It hasn't broke. The door still opens and closes. It has good storage. For $120, this has given me all my money back because I'm a person that needs to have an armrest. Just how I drive, how comfortable I am, I want to have one. So I've been happy with this purchase. So if you want an armrest, don't knock the 6-element armrest. This thing can hold you down. I've had it long enough to know. The seat, there's a couple things that I do want to still change. I do want to change the seat or lower it. I want it to sit a little bit lower. I would prefer some type of reclinable bucket seat to put in here to kind of hold me tighter. Just how I want, okay? I mean, it's not like it's a necessity. These seats are good. I thought about if you just reupholster them, possibly, but I want to lower the seat at least and get a better sight line of how I like and just how I like to sit lower. I'm kind of slouchy now, but that's just kind of that's not an interior issue. That's an interior modification that I want to do. Space-wise, though, I've driven plenty of places. I've been in New Orleans. I've been 6 hours away, 7, 4, 5. I've driven this car for long distances. And at 6'3" and at my size, I have comfortably been in this car without an issue. I've had my wife in the car. I've had my 3 kids in the car. Now, granted, this car isn't the biggest thing inside. So with the size I am and how long I am, if somebody's sitting behind me, I'm going to have to adjust my seat a bit for my son to sit behind me comfortably. But as far as putting the kids in here and being able to go somewhere a short distance, or even if it's a long distance, we have friends and family that live an hour away and we'll drive over there with them in this car and I'm perfectly fine. I've driven all the way to, Louisiana and back and far out west of Texas. Comfortable, long drives. I'm never uncomfortable in the car. Cruise control works great. The interior is fine. It is quiet for what it is. Like I said, for what it is. It is still a GR Corolla. No, it wasn't built on the idea of putting laminated glass everywhere to shield you from the road noise. But your tires will play a role in that, and also the road that you're on. But I have never been in it where I'm just uncomfortable and unhappy with how the car is performing. So I've enjoyed it. More sweat coming down my face. I mean, like, you don't even understand the struggles that we go through. But the show must go on. I'm happy. 30,000 miles, happy. I want to change some things. That doesn't knock what the car does stock, because what I want to change, you may not want to change. I might want to change out the steering wheel just because I like the race look. You're not probably going to do that. So, like I said, I'm here to talk about what the car has been in this state now for my ownership, and it's been the same. Now, jump to something else. I do want to quickly talk about the rear seat. Like I said, that's where my seat is. There's a headrest there because I took it off because I had the seats down for something. Don't worry. I'm not about to make this thing look like nobody lives in it. That's my backpack. You see what I'm doing, okay? We live in these things. But that space over there is where my wife sits, and she got to sit a little bit closer. So I could put my son back there, the smaller child here, and they're comfortably fine. So yes, you can haul people in this car. It depends on how big you are. If you're 5'9" and 5'8" and under, all of it, man, there's plenty of space back here. It is not a luxury car, okay? So I don't want you to think that this is something that is going to, I don't know, fit the entire family. I mean, just understand it's a Corolla hatchback, okay? Please approach this with some sense. If you got twins and giant seats and double jogging strollers, no, dog, this ain't for you. Get the minivan for now and come back when the kids are bigger. All right? All right. This isn't like an important area to really spend too much time on, but I do want to talk about the cargo so far. So the cargo in the GR Corolla can hold a lot of stuff. You can put the seats back. I've done Costco runs, Home Depot runs, children runs. I've done it all. It can hold stuff. There's a caveat though. Under this thing, there's a little styrofoam little tray that holds a lot of extra space and things, and flat tire stuff that I store some things in. And the reason is there's a battery back here because they put the battery in the back. And unfortunately with that battery, you lose a good 10 inches of height on the storage. If you had a way to change the battery, put it to the side somewhere, you could drop this styrofoam tray out and drop this for like 10 inches and gain a very large amount of extra space. Unfortunately, we don't have that, but as far as how it has stored, it has been good. You got this cover here, there's little hooks right here to put grocery bags. If you ain't know GR Corollas, put your grocery bags there. These cubbies on the side can hold like a gallon of milk, 2 half gallons. I've put luggage back here for road trips. I have put big duffel bags. It can hold stuff. But like I said, if you got giant strollers, multiple children in big car seats, just know that this is still a small car. And small cars, unlike some of the other hatchbacks like the Type R or the Golf R that do have a better system of storage in the back because they're front wheel drive, they're not all wheel drive, so some of the drive components under the car are affecting the space up here. They can drop this floor down and have more space. But overall, if you do your research and know what you're getting into, this isn't something to knock the car and say it ain't good, they got no storage. It still has storage. It can hold enough. I've been 30,000 miles in this thing with a family, and I have been perfectly fine. And at no point in time have I been like, I shouldn't have bought this car. Last week I had a birthday party with my son. I'm throwing coolers back here, put the seats down. We put everything in here and got to the party. It can haul what you need, but be good at packing too. You got to be a master packer. You got the tethers in the back for the seats. It can hold a family in some sort, but like I said, it depends on the size of your family. But move accordingly. Peace. Now we're going to talk about this engine to wrap this up, because I'm not even going to front. I'm dying out here, okay? Like, this heat ain't no joke right now. This heat's kicking up at a pace that even I wasn't prepared for. So, 30,000 miles in with a G16 GTE motor, 3 cylinders, 300 horsepower, 273 foot-pounds of torque. Mwah! This car has performed flawless. No oil leaks, no check engine, no components need to be recalled like some other Toyotas, unfortunately. It has been fine. I've been doing the oil change every 5,000 miles. Do not do 10,000. That is foolishness. You might need to do it 3,000 depending on how often you're driving and how you're tracking the car. The intake has been on the car for a long time. Shout out to MST Performance. Great people, great performance, great intake. No, it's not covered. There might be some extra hot ambient air that can kind of get sucked in. We're not going to go down the weeds of enclosed and out and open intakes. I just know that my experience, this thing has been perfectly fine, running well. I also put a downpipe on it. I'm not going to show you all that because I'll show the video link up here. I put a downpipe on from MST as well. Equally as flawless, equally as easy to put on. And the performance of this car with my 2J Racing mid-pipe, another amazing company, this car has been great. The mid-range, the high-end, even better low-end torque has just been improved. And I haven't actually tuned this car. I might go EcuTech, because that's a good medium to do before standalone situations show up. But I'm planning to go EcuTech just to not give me more boost and necessarily more power, but to clean up the power band for what I have and to just benefit more of the parts that I put on the car. And give me a second, I gotta wipe my face. I'm done, my gosh. Like, when I say it's already on fire, I mean, like, come on, it's already on fire. It's like 8:30 in the morning, already death. That tells me a couple things. I ain't going nowhere outside this weekend. For certain, we are indoor family this weekend. Let me tell you that. Now, back to the car. The modifications I've done have worked flawlessly this entire time. Like I said, no mechanical issues. I even put on the MST sent me the version 2 for the check engine light thing that some people had. I never actually had an issue with it. Except actually the one time I got it to throw on was when it was like 10 degrees outside or something. And then never happened again. But I put it on just because. But we're here to talk about reliability. 30,000+ miles later, the motor is even better. You know, cars like these can learn and adjust to, and I don't mean in an extreme amount, I just mean that you drive the car how you want it to perform and it will reward you back. And the way this car feels at the top end, the way it feels in the mid-range has just gotten better and better. It's not gotten worse. I haven't had any issues with mechanics. I haven't had issues with electronics. The modifications haven't upset the motor. I haven't had problems. I have a short shifter from Racer X under this shroud and another one inside from Billerworks. You saw the shifter I had in there. That has been, I've had a short shifter on this car since probably 1,000 miles, and not a single one has caused issues, drivetrain problems, clutch problems. The clutch has been perfectly fine, 30,000+ miles. There's been news going around about people with clutch issues very early in the game. I do think there's a small subset of issues with the clutch. I think overall there is not a problem. I've had mine, and other people I know with 30,000+ miles have never had a clutch issue. I've done hard driving, back roads, some launches. I've driven the car as it was intended, and this clutch has been fine. So if you're thinking about this car and you're worried about the clutch, I don't think that's something that you should be worried about, because it hasn't grown enough for me to say maybe there is an issue with certain models. Mine's a 2023 one, and I haven't really heard too much from 2024 models, and some people say it's the 2023s was an issue. So I don't really know what it could possibly be, but I know that my experience, perfectly fine. Other than that, as a whole, what Toyota built here is special. I enjoy this car. The power has remained. It hasn't dropped off. 30,000 miles is baby miles anyways. But what they've done and how this car has performed and how it's handled the Texas heat, being a turboed motor, 3 cylinders and high boost, flawless. So to wrap this up, my ownership has been a great experience. I haven't had problems with the car. It's been a great relationship. You see the towels around my neck now. That's how crazy it's gotten out here. So I'm wrapping this up in swift fashion. But the car overall has been, it's been a great relationship. At no point do I feel like the car is lacking. Do I feel like, does it need more power? Does it need more power? Do I want more power? Things like that. Yeah, maybe here and there. But it hasn't failed me. It hasn't let me down. It's been a great relationship, man. It's just increased over time. It's like my marriage. You know, I've been married for over 10 years. Every year it gets better and better. And this car, I've only had for a year. And the miles I've put on, I at no point in time feel like I need to get another type of car. Like I said, I did my research. I know what I wanted. I know what I was getting into. So do the same. If you're thinking about this car, if you're like, I want to get a GR Corolla, please do your research. There's been a large amount of people, not really large, but there's been a vocal amount of people selling the car that'll say stuff like it isn't what they said, Toyota lied, this and that. And I think a lot of that comes down to what it is you perceive to be a lie and what you perceive to be marketing and what you perceive to be the reality of owning a car that is really made for the general public. If you're racing the car, maybe the rear diff situation is the thing that you need to put into the back of your mind for a cost that you're going to have to figure out and change mechanically, or maybe there's coolers that we have to use. If you want to rally in this car, yes, it can do some dirt, low, dry, lake beds type stuff, but I don't think it's bombing through this, woods like a Group B. But those type of things, I always say, if you truly are into motorsports, you know that these stock cars, something has to be changed. They have to be modified in order to match the level of competition that you are at. But it's daily driving, modifying sport compact cars, that whole aftermarket scene that I love. The Japanese aftermarket that I love, this car is an amazing, it's a dope platform to have, right? I love it. The modifications I've done on the car have performed well. And this is just the early stages. Like I said, this car is still only a little bit over a year old. It's in its infancy. There's still a lot of aftermarket being built for it. There's still a lot of parts coming out. So it's patience, but do your research on what you want out of the car. As an owner, as a person who is a aficionado of the GR Corolla platform, for the companies I've been able to work with, as a fan of what Toyota has done with this car, I love what they've done and I stand behind it, and I will talk about it and enjoy my time with it. And I'll be back. I don't know at what mileage. I know I said 50,000 possibly. Flip y'all around real quick. Maybe 50,000 I'll be back. Or maybe later. I don't know. So far though, it has been a great time. And if you're wondering like, yo, I hear you keep talking about this thing and it can't be that dope. I mean, like, you just gassing it up. I'm really not. Check out my other videos. I point out some things that I didn't like, some things that need to be worked on, but as the overall, there are times when certain cars overall do what you need them to do. Is it the biggest? Is it the most luxurious? Is it the fastest? Is it the most gas efficient? No. But you would know that researching what this car is about and what it does. And if you're looking for a hot hatch, you're looking for something that's all-wheel drive, you're looking for something that is unique in the character, the motor, and the sound, and you're looking for an all-around package that has reliability, that has a good brand and a name behind it, you can't go wrong with the GR Corolla. There's others you can't go wrong with too, but for me, I chose this. You make that choice for yourself. CarQuicks out. I'll see y'all around. Peace.